quite miraculous, really, through the gift and power of God. We have a lot of suggestions about how it was done. We know that they had a table like this. We know they had the golden plates covered usually, and Joseph used these the Urim and Thummim, seer stones in the hat, and it was easier for him to see the light when he'd take that position.
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
I have faith that the Constitution will be saved as prophesied by Joseph Smith. But it will not be saved in Washington.
To my Mormon friends, my Latter-day Saint friends, think of him as Captain Moroni. He seeks not power but to pull it down. He seeks not the praise of the world or the fake news, but he seeks the well-being and the peace of the American people.
Governor Spencer Cox does an about-face and is now endorsing former President Donald Trump in the November election.
I'm doing everything I can to help and support him.
I'm Ben Winslow on Utah's Capitol Hill. The governor, who has clashed with the former president in the past, now appears to be getting on board the Trump train.
I think it explains very well where my heart is and where my head is right now.
Take a look at what happened.
Following the attempted assassination of former President Trump, the governor sent him a letter. In a copy shared with Fox 13 News, the governor acknowledged their differences, but wrote that Trump has the ability to unify the country. At a news conference, the governor explained his change of heart. He believes the former president can lower the temperature and act as a unifying force in a polarized American society.
My commitment to him was that I would help him try to lower the temperature in this country. And I sincerely hope that from what I've heard from people around him, that he is committed to this, that again, this is something that hasn't been high on his list in the past. I think that's probably an understatement. And so I'll work closely with him to help do that.
Will you vote for him?
Yeah.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
And a major city yet to be determined in Russia.
In this security footage, you can see Officer Goodman running to respond to the initial breach. Officer Goodman passes Senator Mitt Romney and directs him to turn around in order to get to safety.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened. Bloodbath.
The mandate given by the First Presidency and the presiding bishopric is to only focus on financial growth. EPA employees are told that the money will be used after the second coming of Jesus Christ or during Armageddon right before he would come again.
One of our brethren some years ago spoke of the payment of tithing as fire insurance. Nonetheless, the word of the Lord is clear that those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of his coming.
Bloodbath.
Travis Wangitzel. I'm going to do this video instead of the intended planned video that I wanted to do last night but didn't get to it. From a whole bunch of comments by a Christian who was having a freak out, having a panic attack, not understanding because of Christian blindness as to how Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are Jewish. It just doesn't make sense to them because it's not Christianity. So instead of that, I had just finished a comment reply on my Gmail explaining how to study the scriptures to produce the fruit of the word. So we're doing that one instead. But in the process of replying to him, I found the scripture that had been floating around in my associative memory for decades, and I was struggling to find it. Just couldn't figure out the right code words in the computer program to find it. Finally found it. Jarom, verses 10 through 12. And look out, Mormons, there are pricks here. And it came to pass that the prophets of the Lord did threaten the people of Nephi according to the word of God, that if they did not keep the commandments, but should fall into transgression, they should be destroyed from off the face of the land. Oh, I looked straight into the camera on that one. Got it right. Wherefore, the prophets and the priests and the teachers and the deacons broke the kneecaps of those who were apostates, did labor diligently, exhorting with all long-suffering the people to diligence, teaching the law of Moses, Deuteronomy, and the intent for which it was given, persuading them to look forward unto the Messiah. In Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. Hello. Joseph Smith. I don't think they would reference it. Nope. 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 They didn't. Needs to be footnoted, Bruce R. Needs to be footnoted. You're hiding it from Mormons. And believe in him to come, as though he already was. And after this manner did they teach them. And it came to pass that by doing so, they kept them from being destroyed. Fight fear with fear. Upon the face of the land. That's the sad reality, is that people that refuse to listen, refuse to study, refuse to be good, have to be threatened. And just like Laman and Lemuel, they had to constantly be threatened, and each and every time they then become sensitive snowflakes. Oh, please, we're so sorry. And so he touches them and zaps them. Continually stirring them up unto repentance. But it's not true repentance if it's out of fear. They're being compelled to be good. That's the problem here. The Book of Mormon goes through and explains that if you actually read and understand the consequences of this. Because this has to be done repeatedly because they will not repent. It's not repentance that they're doing. They're just, out of fear and just, God, Mormons. So, I also was brought back to memory 1 Nephi chapter 22. Verse 20. And the Lord will surely prepare a way for his people unto the fulfilling of the words of Moses, which he spake, saying, A prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you, like unto me. Him shall ye hear in all things whatsoever he shall say unto you. And it shall come to pass that all who will not hear that prophet shall be cut off from among the people. That's neither Deuteronomy nor Acts. That was taken from the 1838 Joseph Smith History, verse 40 in the second vision. Because it's not cut off. And now I, Nephi, declare unto you that this prophet of whom Moses spake is the Messiah. He says here, the Holy One of Israel. Wherefore he shall execute judgment in Zadok. Righteousness. The righteous need not fear, for they are those who shall not be confounded. But it is the kingdom of Nelson, which shall be built up among the Mormons, which kingdom is established among them which are in the flesh. For the time speedily cometh that shall come that all churches which are built up to hoard money, and all those who are built up to get power over Mormons, and those who are built up to become popular in that fake Munich council of Christians. Had to have watched the church news video I did last night. All those Mormons who are involved in iniquity, and fine, all those who belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, are they who need fear and tremble and quake. They are those who must be brought low in the dust. They are those who must be consumed as stubble in the day that shall burn as an oven, and they that come shall burn them. That's what I was going to bring up with the Christian, but we're not doing that one. And this, according to the words of the prophet. The time speedily come that the Mormons must be led up on the streets of Salt Lake City as calves of the stall. Last Thursday. And the Holy One of Israel must reign supreme in dominion and might and power and great glory. I'll tell you a little sacred secret. Shh, don't tell. Mormons might actually want to go. there really won't be any ruling over people. You get to govern yourselves. And as long as you behave and play nice, you can have your toys. Can you do that? No? Alright, so set those aside. I had some really cool Kamala Harris pics for you too. Pics, 3 of them. This is pissing me off. The Capitol was again attacked by insurrectionists, and again Biden failed to invoke the Insurrection Act against the insurrectionists. But they are taking bribes from insurrectionists who were bribed by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But we're not doing that video. Okay. And so, you're supposed to study your scriptures. You're supposed to produce the fruit of the Word, the results of the Word. For the whole reason that they are all prophecies of the coming of your Christ, and giving you revelation of the day and the hours of when He's going to come, and what years and days and hours the events are to take place during the latter-day time period. And so you need to know the prophecies and not replace them with Christian literal history or Brigham Young literal history for the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith's visionary accounts. Because if you include Christianity, you will be blinded. You will stumble and fall. You won't figure it out. It'll be confusing. You won't understand, and so therefore I'm wrong. And all hell breaks loose as Jesus didn't show for His big day. But the Jewish Christ showed. Crap. Bitten by a mosquito. Wow. That one finished fast. And so you need to stay on the iron rod's path. You can't stray on the forbidden paths of Christianity, even the Christianity of Brigham Young. Stay to the iron rod. Get to the fruit of the tree of life, the Christ. That's the whole point and purpose. Seed only produces after its kind, and if you allow the Christian seed to be planted among the iron rod seed, you're going to have tares of Christianity choking the wheat of the Book of Mormon. See how well I know the scriptures? So, we start with the word of the Book of Mormon, that we need to grow into the tree of life. 1 Nephi chapter 1 verse 2. It sets the whole stage for the Book of Mormon and how to interpret it. Yea, I make a record in the language of my father, which consists of the learning of the Jews. Thus the religion of the Jews, not Christianity. If you plug in Christianity, you're automatically wrong. This is a no-brainer. And yet, everybody makes this mistake. And the language of the Egyptians. So you're going to kind of need to know Egyptian religion too. Because verse 4 tells us it's pre-Babylonian captivity Jewish Egyptians. First year is when Zedekiah gets put on the throne. That's when Babylon conquered Judah from Egypt. somebody's stealing a car at the doggy park? Or did the dog trigger the alarm? Help! I'm being held hostage in the car! Rescue me! I miss all the dogs barking in the hallway when I'm trying to do videos. What happened to those days? Where are they? They moved away. I'm the last resident standing. All right. So, then we'll skip down because I'm providing you a cheat sheet for this in your studies here. Verse 9, and it came to pass that he saw one descending out of the midst of heaven. And he beheld that his luster was above that of the sun at noonday. So Google search, Egyptian sun god at noonday. It will lead you to Ammon. And that sounds very familiar. Is that something Joseph Smith ever talked about? El is God. Ammon El. God Ammon. Emmanuel. From Isaiah. Hey, that's plagiarized in the Book of Mormon too. Ta-da! That is the name of your God, Mormons, not Jesus. And even the Matthew author tries to explain this to you, quoting from Isaiah, saying his name is prophesied to be Emmanuel, and so he violates the prophet and rebels and calls his name Jesus. It's because Isaiah is the flip of Jesus. Yah of salvation. Yah is the Hebrew God, and the name Ishmael. Hey, he goes with Lehi to the promised land. Yeah. Is name of Yah, or Yah's name, Ish. Yah, Shem, Al, that's the guttural, I can't do gutturals. Universal symbol of the sun, El, God. Name of Yah is sun god, Emmanuel. Yah is Emmanuel. Ta-da! And so then I can then take you into Genesis chapter 1 and explain that Joseph Smith in the King Follett sermon is correct, that the head god is named Yah, the Hebrew God. And he assigns his son to be born with the womb where the waters are parted, and he pops out of the womb, takes his first breath to become a living soul, to be the firstborn birthright blessing son, the Christ Messiah, Ben David. And so after that completion, he is given the new name in Genesis chapter 2, verse 4, Yahweh, which you incorrectly know it as Jehovah. And it's not even Yahweh, that's Babylonian Semitic phonetics. So I'm giving you extra information than what I emailed him, just so that you know. You guys are special. You hold a special place in the tender mercies of my heart. Bleep you for all the hate comments I got on the videos explaining that you guys are haters. Just so predictable. Tell a Mormon they're wicked and they will prove it to you. Without fail, every single time. And so, yeah, that's why Luke and others talk about the Most High God. That's the sun god at noonday, Emmanuel of the Egyptians. And so you need to know the main Egyptian story that infused itself into everything of Egyptian culture. The government, the religion, the people's lives, everything, the language. And it's the story of Osiris getting assassinated by his brother Set, and Isis, his wife, conceiving Horus, who becomes the Christ to restore the throne of his father, who was assassinated. This is where the Jews get Messiah ben Joseph, who is Osiris, and Messiah ben David, who is Horus. And thus the two eyes of Horus are the word in Egyptian of PTR, in the language or the learning of the Greeks from the Rosetta Stone, which the Brits insert E's so that they can pronounce it. And so you get the word Peter, which is translated as seer, the two eyes of Horus. So go to facsimile number 2, the porn facsimile. Cover your eyes, women. You don't want to see it. It's ugly. It's the goo old snake that'll poison you. Julia Roberts even had Runaway, was it Runaway Bride? Yeah, it was, with Richard Gere, where she is warned by Grandma about the one-eyed snake. Very deadly, very poisonous. Stay away. And so, yeah, Joseph Smith got it right. In John, talking about upon this rock I will build my church. Well, John's a little different. There's Cephas that's included in there. So you see Joseph Smith putting in the Joseph Smith translation, Cephas, which is rock or seer. Man, if I get sick from this mosquito bite, I'm going to be pissed. Trying to get back out and running in the mornings after the damage that was caused from the... But still, you can hear the coughing. Like I said, you'll hear it forever. And so, yeah, Joseph Smith knows what he's talking about. His daddy taught him everything. Learning of his father. Almost as if Senior had to rewrite the 116 pages. But that would mean that he was a Jewish Kabbalist and a York Rites Freemason with the Knights Templar. No. Book of Mormon has to be literal history, and Joseph Smith had to have translated it out of his mind through looking at a rock and a hat, which makes him a witch. So, yeah, that's the whole Egyptian story. That theme. And so the Jews used that. That's their Christ too. Pre-Babylonian captivity Jewish Egyptians. The man like Moses from Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. The Lord God will insurrection up, raise up, or resurrection up. It's actually resurrection up, because it's the second coming of the one to replace the Father. The Father becomes the Son, Son becomes the Father. That's why you refer to Superman. He's of the house of El, written by Jews, gets his power from the sun. Hello? And he's from Krypton. Nobody thought that was funny. I do these things to try to entertain you guys and not be so boring. Raise up unto thee a prophet in the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him shall you hearken. And Mormons have no clue who this guy is. It's in everything. I just read it to you from the Book of Mormon. There's again a repeating of it by Jesus, whose second coming to the Nephites. He said it. I'm him. It's me. I'm here. Which means there is no second coming because it already happened to the Americans. So that's confusing. Maybe we can get Willard Richards to correct it. Like he corrected everything else of the Book of Mormon and Joseph. Coward. Don't want to go there. He murdered Joseph, shot him in the back. Very sad. Unto him ye shall hearken. So Joseph repeats this. Unto him ye shall hearken or be cut off. Which is not in Deuteronomy, which is not in Acts. It's in the Book of Mormon. In both. Hilarious, Joseph. Just hilarious. And so that's the Jewish law. Deuteronomy. Repetition, law. Repeating the law. The second law. Copied, plagiarized law. And so thus it is the law because it's an exact copy. Letter for letter, word for word, copy. And so we can trust it as the law. We just have to translate it correctly. But very clearly, the Jews got it right. There's a Messiah ben Joseph, who is Osiris, to prepare the way, set up the kingdom for the coming of Messiah ben David, who is to restore the kingdom, the throne, the church. And so yes, 2 Nephi chapter 3, which I'm skipping ahead. Got to cover verse 40 of the second vision. And so yes, Joseph Smith says this is our Christ. The man like Moses is our Christ. And if you hadn't caught on, it's not Jesus. Because you'd be pulling an anachronism. Because for the Christian, I would have to go over the Nicene Creed with you and explain to you that the Jewish prophecies and revelations of their religious Christ got replaced with literal history Jesus of the Roman period time. That's abominable. Oh, that's what Joseph said in verse 19. Are you an abominable Mormon? You can't just deny and then continue to call the Book of Mormon another testament of Jesus Christ and Joseph Smith as a Christian who saw the literal Jesus. That makes you abominable. Alright. So Joseph Smith confirms our religion is Jewish. Along with the Book of Mormon. We are not Christian. What Spencer W. Kimball added to the name of the Book of Mormon was abominable. It needs to be gone. So, 2 Nephi chapter 3, verse 5. This is how you would know who your Christs are. Because all of that other research to learn Egyptian, to learn the pre-Babylonian captivity, Jewish Egyptian religion, that's just too much work. Especially since everything's been fulfilled, we're now waiting for utter destruction this election. Isn't that great? Bloodbath 2024. In this corner, we have MAGA insurrectionists. And in this corner, replacing the previous Islamic insurrectionist, is the new Islamic insurrectionist. Yay, America gets to choose as to what insurrection we get to coup America with. Isn't that great? Bloodbath 2024. From 3 Nephi, chapter 7. Nobody believes, because they think it's Christian literal history. So, Joseph of Egypt has visions as a seer. He's in Egypt. And he obtained a promise of the Lord that out of the fruit of his loins, so he has seed in his loins, and in order to produce the fruit of the seed of his loins, he needs a little honey bunny. Because you can't plant it on the wayside or on the forbidden paths. On the iron rod. Hold to the iron rod and plant the seed in the womb. Yep, scriptures, real sex ed. That's what Christianity thinks, that they've deceived you so well that they can push Christian Bible in the public school systems and think kids won't catch on to the sexual innuendo that's permeated throughout it. I mean, you got the parting of the waters and the Ark of the Covenant of the priesthood passes through the waters to get to the promised land, to deposit the seed of the house of Israel. And everybody else is concerned about the immorality stories. Trying to cause abstinence only. Dear God, how twisted. He would raise up. Hey, pattern match to the law of the Jews, Deuteronomy 18:15 through 19. The man like Moses, the Christ, the Messiah. A righteous branch. That's from the Egyptians, but used in the context of the tree of life. For Messiah ben Joseph is the foundation, and Messiah ben David is the finished results of the tree of life. But the Egyptian thing, that's the battle. That's how Horus wins against his uncle Set. Is Set gives birth to the branch, and Horus wins. And Zion is established unto the house of Israel. Seed of Israel. House is a tricky one, because everybody assumes that Moses was pulled from the Nile River by the daughter of Pharaoh, because in Hebrew, house and daughter are similar. No, it's house. thus the queen of Pharaoh. Because girls, unmarried, unpregnated, are not allowed to raise babies all by themselves when it's not even their baby. And so it's the queen. But nonetheless, it's a prophecy and revelation. Don't take it literally. Not the Messiah. Why? Well, it's because they're talking about Joseph Smith, Messiah ben Joseph, out of the fruit of the loins of Joseph of Egypt. Messiah ben Joseph. But a branch. And so the Messiah ben David comes from Joseph also. But there's a branching that takes place. So Messiah ben David is not from the fruit of the loins of Joseph Smith Jr. Okay? And so you have to go back to Joseph Smith Sr., who's the one writing this. So another son of Joseph Smith Sr. is going to be the lineage, the fruit of the loins of Messiah ben David. To be remembered in the covenants of the Lord, that the Messiah should be made manifest unto them. Well, if Joseph Smith is Messiah ben Joseph, who is to establish the church, to prepare the temple for the coming of Messiah ben David, who are them? You Mormons. And sure enough, in the latter days, the coming of Messiah ben David. See how this isn't Jesus? Right here, and purposely neglected with the footnoting, so that you would not know about it, and not figure it out. Because they should have footnoted to Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. They can't. Because then you might figure out that the one mighty and strong also needed to be footnoted to Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. And verse 8 is verse 20. The false prophet. And so, yeah, it's Jarom. Just to let you know. All right, so Joseph Smith confirms this. Therefore, in section 103, verse 16, I will raise up unto my people a man who shall lead them like as Moses. Also not footnoted to Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. Do you see how everybody is talking about the law about Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19? But the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints cannot footnote it to the Book of Mormon or to the Doctrine and Covenants that talks about it. Because they need to cover it up and hide to make sure you get fooled into believing it's Jesus. Just as David Gaunt walked into the room that one evening after I had already fixed it to revise the footnotes. They were perfect. And David Gaunt comes in with that paper and says it's Jesus. So, and thus why there are no guide to the scriptures footnotes for that passage. You're welcome. Alrighty. And so, he's gonna be a Mormon through the insurrectionist church that cooed Joseph Smith and had him assassinated. And you thought it was the mob. Somebody paid the Judas price and shot Joseph in the back. Very sad. Alright, and so he's the guy you're supposed to search for, Mormons. He's the guy you're supposed to hearken to. Unto him shall you hearken? Cut off? And whatever that precisely as it stands in Acts? And so the first and second visions. Why didn't Joseph Smith just call him Jesus and Heavenly Father? Why did he call them personages? They knew Joseph by name. Willard Richards had to correct Joseph Smith and put in Jesus Christ into the name of the church in verse 1. How are they described? The two personages that in the second vision, Nephi, not Moroni, how are they described by Joseph? The sun god at noonday, Emmanuel. Father Amen, son Amen. And then son Amen. So what do you think the Book of Mormon is about? Son Amen. The coming of son Amen. And that Mormons need to hearken to him, or they're going to be precisely as it stands in our New Testament in Acts. Bloodbath 2024. And so you will know him, not because he says so and claims the self-proclaiming titles of prophet, seer, revelator, and not translator. Right, Nelson? Instead, you will know him by his predictions of the future from the scriptures. He'll have figured it out and explain it to you in YouTube videos. He will be a seer. He will have visions, getting the keys of authority, even those that Oakes claims he doesn't even have. Like creation and resurrection. He'll have them. Oakes doesn't. He'll have them. Your Mormon Christ will have them. And he'll explain them to you in YouTube videos during the blackout period, where he's cyber terrorized by YouTube under orders and payment of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he will actually be a translator of Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian. Remember, pre-Babylonian captivity Jewish Egyptians. Pre-Hebrew of the Babylonians, thus Paleo-Hebrew, Old Hebrew, Ancient Hebrew. And that's how you will know him, by his fruits. Revelator, gives you the days and the hours of the prophesied events. Joseph Smith translation, Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. Sign in the heaven, Revelation, time and day, day and hour, in the likeness of things on the earth. Prophecy, predictions of the future. Learning of the Jews, replaced by Christianity's literal history. To deny prophecy and revelation. That's how you'll know him. He'll show you his little snapshot from his Urim and Thummim of all of the signs, so that you will not be deceived by the false prophet who will self-proclaim the titles and deny the power thereof and preach over the pulpit of conference a false idol god for Mormons to worship. Mormons who follow the iron rod will not be deceived. Plus, you need to have your checklist out and ready, because every single prophet prophesies of him, just as I read to you, right? Jarom, yeah. All the prophets testify of him. And unfortunately, Mormons need to be threatened with Armageddon Bloodbath 2024. Mormons would rather be couch potatoes, being entertained as lazy learners and lax disciples, just waiting to see if it'll be true that they will be utterly destroyed. I don't believe I'll be utterly destroyed. I'm just going to watch and find out. Like I do at church. I just sit there and listen to the teacher quote directly from the manual. Everything is a prophecy. If you hadn't caught on, those are checklists for you. You need to know the days and the hours of the prophesied events. And then, when that day comes, oops, it came and went, or it came to pass. You would have had your checklist of prophecies, so that on the 23rd of September 2017, you would have heard him start his ministry. He would have revealed unto you the 21st of August 2017 that YouTube would shut down after 40,000 views. So at least 40,000 people were aware of it, of his fruit, so that they would know him and not be deceived. And so he would have 40,000 subscribers, if not more by now. No. Still his #1 video, though. So yeah, I already read to you. Jarom, coming of the Messiah. And so, knowing the revelations of the days of the hours of the latter day events are a bit trickier, because it's astronomy. You have to learn astronomy now. I mean, you can just know of the prophecies and recognize the prophecies when they happen, but it does greatly help if you know astronomy to know when to expect the prophecies to happen. And I had the Christian who's using Christianity to interpret my videos thinks that none of them happened. The big event last year for 9/11/2023, and he's claiming it didn't happen. Are you sure? Are you sure? Did you go to that day in my videos? And it's complicated because you got to scroll down and you have to figure it out because YouTube summarizes it by months at that point, if not years. We're not at a year yet, so you'd still see months to get to November 24th, 2023, because the Jewish calendar is 9/11 on that day. And so you're looking for the second vision as the day and the hour, revelation, and the prophecy of the Christ, the sun god at noonday, of Mormons, at his bedside in a white shirt. Or was it the red shirt? There's both. There's the red and the white shirts. The red shirt for the bloodbath, which also is in, it's Revelation 19 for the red shirt, plus it's in Isaiah 63, the red shirt. Bloodbath 2024. So, yeah, I'm trying to remember if it was the white shirt or the red shirt on that day. But that was a whole, was it 6 hours long segments, video series, which still is on his homepage. It's all about the ledger of the secret combination Danites of all who paid loyalty to Brigham Young. As Nelson rushed it out, claiming that it was Joseph's. Section 119 is now true. Priestcraft, extortion threats, polygamy, prostitution. It's all true because we proved it with the Danite ledger. Malachi is wrong. And so, knowing astronomy, you'd realize that 1 Nephi chapter 1 verses 8 through 10 comes from Revelation chapter 12 verses 1, 2, and 5, which the Joseph Smith translation added sign in the heavens and the likeness of things on the earth for prophecy and revelation, and moves verse 5 to verse 3, which means he's changing the date or correcting the date. It's still the same, but I was stuck thinking that verse 5 was going to be after verses 3s and 4s signs in the heavens. And so I was struggling to find it after having found 1 and 2 without verse 5. Because if you've ever seen the picture of me at the book signing in Elko, Nevada, you see the laptop showing only Leo and Virgo, not Ophiuchus with Saturn, God sitting on his throne. But yeah, it took Monson to die for verse 4's sign in the heavens for me to figure it out. Kicking myself. It was right there in the footnotes. And so yeah, it's the 23rd of September 2017, which I already knew from just verses 1 and 2 alone. And so 3rd Nephi chapter 11 verse 2, the sign of the death, that's Revelation 19, 11, and 17. As well as But Samson also. Samson's the 3 days of darkness, because Samson is the sun king, Shemesh, sun. N is a suffix determinative, because I know Paleo-Hebrew. I deciphered it. And it's from the Egyptian symbol of king. The J stroke is for human, and then he's wearing the crown. With that serpent, I still remember the old woman who commented in horror that I had a serpent on a stick, claiming it was of the devil. Apparently, she never heard of the story of Moses and the serpent staff. Thus, the man like Moses. You know, I have these props for a reason, and nobody catches on. It just goes right over their head, in one ear, out the other, between their legs. They just miss it, because they're using Christianity. They don't see it, trying to help you out. Make it plain and precious for you. Tender victuals of the Lord. And you still can't figure it out. I guess I gotta go back to threatening you. Bloodbath 2024! That would be a cool picture. And what did I tell you? She's the Obama Hillary. And so sure enough, Obama this morning is being reported all over the world as endorsing Islamic terrorism. MAGA terrorism versus Islamic terrorism. Who will win in the Bloodbath 2024? 3rd Nephi, chapter 7. Hilarious. Alright, so, now that I've introduced it all for you in 1 hour, I then went over for him the first story in the Book of Mormon. Zedekiah is Trump. Because the start of the ministry of Nephi, 8 to 10, is 23rd September 2017. So the first year is 2017. Who was put on the throne of America in 2017 by a foreign government? An enemy foreign government. Trump. January 20th. Ta-da. How did he know? And so Judah, in this particular case, even though it is phonetically the same as Utah, is instead the United States of America. And Jerusalem is technically the throne where Zedekiah was, but that's the Salt Lake Valley here, according to this story. So that can be a little tricky if you get confused. But since everything's already happened, it's easier to figure it out now. And so Jerusalem is Utah, with specifically the Salt Lake Valley, where the Mormon Christ starts his ministry on the 23rd of September 2017. Lehi is the Mormon who is Messiah ben David, and he is preaching to the Mormons in the Utah Salt Lake Valley, and thus the Jews are the Utah Salt Lake City Valley Mormons. And then the book finishes, or the story finishes, with Lehi's Exodus. And Senior helped simplify it for us so that we know it's the end of a story and that he is now beginning a new story, as he ends with Lehi dwelling in a tent. That's the trigger word for the story is now over. We are now going to begin another story. The same pattern of prophesying and revealing, but it's a different story now. So you got to be careful. New characters, or the old characters, may take on different roles. And so Judah can now be Utah. Depends on the story. All right. And that's how you apply to every Jewish story and every Book of Mormon story. So Captain Moroni, not Captain Moroni. Mosiah, not Mosiah, it's Moses Yah. The man like Moses. Yah, the name of Yah, is the sun god, Ishmael. Okay? And so now you see how he was specifically naming characters, and then the Jewish authors were specifically naming characters to try to help you out with the interpretation of the prophecy in Revelation. And so Samson, for example, the Sun King, those are all solar eclipses with the corresponding deaths. So the first one is the lion. Yeah, the 21st of August 2017 was in the constellation of Leo, and right there at the star Regulus, the king star. Emmanuel, sun god. Samson, sun king. The second is his wife burning, the ring of fire, annular eclipse, 14 October 2023 in Virgo. And then Samson takes down the temple of the Philistines, and he's blinded for solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. Sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood. Peter, seer. 8 April 2024 with Purim. And the lunar eclipse for Purim. Brilliant. How did they know? Okay. And so, yeah, like I've been telling you, we've got the 8th April was on the last day of the religious Jewish calendar. On October 2nd, we're having a solar eclipse. It's going to be out in the Pacific. But it's the last day of the civil calendar for the Jews. And the next day starts the new year. And that's something that frustrates me to no end. Ever since 2017, when I knew that we're in the latter days, I'm wanting to go to Zion. I'm wanting it to happen. And I have to wait all these years. Mormons still to this day will not accept the Book of Mormon and Joseph. Still in denial, still waiting for Jesus underwear pants. God. He didn't show. There's no fruit, and Mormons are still waiting for fruit. Just so sad, because all of the fruit has happened. That's why I keep referring to 3 Nephi chapter 7. Let's go over it. I already did it to you. I showed you the pattern. So be easy breezy cover girl. And notice how it's supposed to be before 8 April 2024. Somebody failed in their wicked plot to cause Armageddon and delayed it even further. Bastards. Maybe I should use that as the theme song in the description below. I want to hear that song again. So 3 Nephi chapter 7 verse 1. Now behold, I will show unto you that they did not establish a king over the land. 2017, the king is Trump. When was the next presidential election? Hey, that Exodus year, where everything from the Exodus occurred that year, from suing Pharaoh, to creeping death, to the waters parting and the dry land appearing for Mormons to go on the I-70 back to Zion in southern Illinois, not independence, which, yes, the church fooled me too. I'm born and raised in the covenant with all the indoctrination of lies and deceptions. I had to follow the iron rod, and thus the Joseph Smith Papers, to figure out it was supposed to be 19 July 1840, Southern Illinois. Brigham Young did not want it published because he was told that he's the insurrectionist who's going to murder Joseph. And so he was not happy about that and fled the country to his European indoctrination tour to prepare the way for his human and sex trafficking when he flees again from the United States to Zion, which we just celebrated 2 days ago. But in this same year, and so remember, they failed in 2020. This is now 2024. It's this year. Because they failed. They failed. That Christian does not understand this. This is not my beliefs. This is not my prophecies. This is my knowledge having produced the fruit of the word of the Book of Mormon, of the Bible, prophecy, revelation, not Christian Jesus in literal in history. And so this year, so did somebody die in 2020? Was she a chief judge? I'm still concerned. You know, everybody was talking about how she needed to retire, but that would allow for Trump to have been, then they're saying that it should have been back under Obama, but we already know that if she died or quit back under Obama, the Senate would have held her replacement up also. It's just so frustrating. I did love her movie. That was awesome. I don't know how accurate to the book it was. But I did like her movie. And so, yeah, we're expecting the death of either the president, because it's not Trump. See the difference? Do you understand the bullying video now? What they're setting up for. They have no problems assassinating a president. Trump exposed right before his shooting. Was it the CIA who tried to assassinate Trump? Because he was interviewed by that podcast people in which he exposes who assassinated President Kennedy. Mormons. who were in the CIA. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints assassinated President Kennedy? Why? Oh, was it the No More Asylums Act? And so the Utah church was upset by that because they were practicing conversion therapy since the 50s. Just like the Nazis to the Jews. And so, yeah, Trump exposes that the CIA assassinated Kennedy. And he said, I was told not to tell. And so, yes, Poppy Bush was there. We got the photograph. It was at the Watergate Hotel. They were trying to obtain the evidence that showed who was responsible for the assassination of Kennedy. And so then you got Deep Throat, who's a Mormon. With the two Washington, is it Washington Post or whatever paper? Who the one guy would go on to expose Trump. And since we have social media and social media networks, nobody cares. But under Nixon's period, yeah, that would have taken down Trump easily for what he confessed on audio. Dear God. But, yeah, Mormons are involved in everything. Because they're the Danites, the way to perfection, page 290 and 291. Jesus! He's going to get the keys of government and then murder everybody. God. And so, yeah, expect an assassination attempt. Not Trump. He was not shot. The FBI director just exposed that. Trump staged it. And the people were divided one against another. A national divorce? They did separate one from another into states. The sedition of secession. Texas has already done it. Utah's already done it. MAGA states have technically already done it. That's only because Biden is in office, and so obviously Dem states will stay American, per se. And thus, the federal government will be destroyed. Bloodbath 2024! Because neither Biden or Harris will invoke the Insurrection Act to stop it. They'll just let it happen. They will let America fall rather than invoke the Insurrection Act. Biden didn't do it to quell the MAGA insurrection, and they escalated, and Roe v. Wade got overturned. And then he still won't do anything about it. And then other things have happened. He allows MAGA to cause the problems at the southern border. Still won't invoke the Insurrection Act. So no, I have no confidence in Biden invoking the Insurrection Act to save America. There will be a bloodbath. There will be Civil War II. And SCOTUS allowed the bump stocks to be the favored weapon of Civil War II. So, you have the different governors becoming the leaders of each of the divided, divorced states of America. And so, sure enough, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are the ones behind it all. They did yield themselves unto President Russell Marion Nelson. And the regulations of the government, the federal government, were destroyed because of the secret combination of the Council for National Policy, of the Friends, the Confederates, who were Illuminati also, and the kindreds of the Danites, who murdered Joseph and Hiram. Messiah ben Joseph is to be assassinated, just like Osiris, who shed his blood that we may drink it and eat Joseph's flesh for the sacrament. That's where the sacrament comes from, is Osiris, his broken body, which Jesus' body is never broken. So how is it Jesus' flesh and blood? Weird. His body was never broken. And so, yeah, the covenant path of the secret combinations. Yeah, right, verse 6. So, yeah, Trump will not win. America will be divided into MAGA states versus Islamic states. Be careful out there in California. The governor of California is turning MAGA. He's already been locking up the homeless now. Now that SCOTUS has said that it's illegal to be homeless. Everything is getting overthrown. We're descending into utter destruction. I see it. But they were not united as to their laws and their manner of government. But they were united in their hatred of Trump. Notice they call him Jacob. Jacob is Hebrew, translated into English as usurper. Remember Jacob, the brother of Esau, who usurped the birthright and blessing, and Esau says, "You have been rightly named." And then he's given a new name, "Let Mormons sin." Oh, that's Jesus' name. Israel. Let God prevail. Oh my hell. And you will never look up the Hebrew to realize how botched Nelson was. You won't do it, will you? He thinks he can get away with it. The manuals have all been changed. It's Yah, which is Emmanuel, Prince of God. You are a prince before you become a king. And thus, why he's given the new name. He usurped the birthright and blessing from Esau. And so Esau is not going to be the bloodline of the fruit of the loins of the seed for the Messiah ben David. It's now going to be Jacob, Prince of God. Yah, Prince of God. The Son to come through Jacob now. Real easy Hebrew 101. And Nelson botched it. And I think he did it on purpose, because you can't botch it that poorly. I mean, seriously, to blame the BYU professors? Which you expose after I exposed you as coming from the footnotes. So you're blaming Avraham Gileadi, are you? He's the one responsible? Are you sure? God. Alrighty, 120 minutes. Yippee-ki-yay. So frustrating. Because this is awesome for me. As frustrating as it is that I'm the only one who knows about it to this day. Because even those who follow me, it's still confusing for them. Right? And it's frustrating because I see it all with my associative memory. And it's just incredible. I've been waiting for this my whole life. Was fascinated about all things second coming, as I thought. And so when I was on my mission, I read through the whole Bible and used a purple highlighter for everything that appeared to be referencing the second coming, as I thought. And yet, God. What a travesty. Alrighty, another day, waiting to be terrorized. And it's Friday. But now do you understand why I keep pushing 9th of Av with the pictures? Please say you know. Just placate me. Yeah, the pictures, right. Pictures of what? The 2 Jewish temples destroyed on 9th Ave. And so it's a Memorial Day for the Jews. It's the 13th of August this year. And so look, this is the last year. This is it. The last year of the Jewish calendar was on 8 April 2024. The last year of the civil calendar, 2nd of October 2024. And this is the bloodbath year because they failed in 2020. And so Mormons cannot pull out of their drunken Kool-Aid unless they are threatened. And so they're not listening to my threats. And so it has to be God, whoever he is, because it's weird. There are just those things that science is incapable of doing. You know, like sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven for every single president of Brigham Young's insurrection. Letting all Mormons know, if they knew to know, that somebody is pissed with this church. And Nelson, this is it, the last year. He has to fit the pattern. If he doesn't fit the pattern, the whole thing is ruined. Well, at least Nelson is. Monson ends up being the final one of the pattern. And so the pattern is broken. And so thus, no more. So if Nelson, so frustrating. Mormons will not pull out until they are shocked out. They must be compelled out because they will not humble themselves to do it themselves. And it's sad because in their bondage to the church, they're waiting to be compelled by Nelson in all things. That's why they're lazy learners and lax disciple couch potatoes. Just sitting back and watching the show. And even when Nelson orders them, compels them to do things, they won't do it. You're supposed to be practicing polygamy, Mormons. You're being disobedient. Your wife, hello, get him a woman. Now, are you going to be kind to him or are you going to be mean? You gonna get him a cute honey bunny or somebody who's got heavenly eyes but oh that size? Awesome movie. It was a play actually, I guess, wasn't it? It was Rodgers and Hammerstein, wasn't it? Dorcas from Batman. Oh. God. So I have no idea if I'm going to get to this Christian, but I was hoping that this video would help you guys out. So this will be added to the videos, of which will be the link for the prerequisite videos. Okay. So yeah, I'm waiting to see if something's going to happen, because the Salt Lake Temple is the only stone temple of the church, because the Jewish temple is not built, so it's not Jerusalem, and yet people are dumb when they're a stranger, faces look ugly when you're alone, women seem wicked when you're unwanted. And women never catch on to this. They never catch on. When a guy's teasing you, it means he likes you. Likes you. And you get upset with him teasing you and demand he stop. Wish that he would act mature to woo you over. And so because of your frustration with his childishness, you then have him burned over and over again as a fall guy. That movie deeply affected me.